Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos, Nigeria. It's a show where we bring you up to speed with all the big happenings in politics and in the polity. Let's get started with the headlines. European Union backs Nigeria, describes claims of alleged Christian genocide as mischaracterization and generalizations, maintains terrorist assault affects all faith, as federal government says it is working hard to keep the peace. The new Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oloyede, assures of military readiness to secure citizens, welcomes foreign support to combat terrorism and insurgency. And court gives leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, last chance to defend himself in his terrorism trial preferred against him by the government. Thanks again for staying with us on the program. Let's get started with what's just played out in court moments ago, where Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court Abuja has now granted the last opportunity to the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, to either enter a defense in his ongoing alleged terrorism trial or be foreclosed. At the resumed hearing on Wednesday, which is today, Justice Omotosho said it was his duty as a judge in the case to accord the defendant sufficient opportunity to put in his defense. The judge spoke while ruling on an application by the prosecuting lawyer, the Boyiga Hamawamalo, saying that the court should foreclose Kanu, who failed to enter his defense, having spent 5 out of the 6 days the court allocated to him to conduct his defense. The legal counsel to the government had noted that the court on Wednesday on Tuesday adjourned till Wednesday for Kanu to enter a defense in his trial or be deemed to have waived his right to do so. It further noted that at the resumption of proceedings on Wednesday, Kanu still declined to open his defense as ordered by the court. I want to urge the court to take note of the defendant's position that he will not enter any defense because there's no valid charge against him. He then prayed the court to foreclose the defendant and adjourn for judgment. Earlier, Mr. Kanu, who represented himself, addressed the court from the dock. He maintained that his position that there is no valid charge against him to warrant him being called to open or enter a defense. And away from the court, let's talk about the security issues and what has been playing out as far as Nigeria is concerned in recent time. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oloyede, has dismissed claims of Christian persecution in Nigeria. He reaffirms the nation's resilience and commitment to tackling insecurity headlong. General Oloyede made the remark after a closed-door meeting of all heads of security agencies at the office of the National Security Advisor in the nation's capital, Abuja. He explained that the recent reshuffling of security heads by President Bola Tinubu is a testament of the administration's willingness to eliminate terrorism. He highlighted that although the issue of terrorism is a global one, Nigeria welcomes all well-meaning countries to aid its fight against insecurity.
We're just coming out from the General Security Appraiser Committee meeting. Though this is a very special one, it's something we do periodically, but this was specifically convened because of the current development where Nigeria is being accused of persecuting Christians. But I want to make it categorically clear here that no Christian is being persecuted in Nigeria. We are facing insecurity, especially terrorism, and it's something that has been affecting Nigeria for quite some time now. But as a group, talking about security heads, we've been doing our very best to checkmate this act of terrorism within the space of Nigeria. And you will recall recently, that's just last week, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, recalibrated the security architecture by bringing on board officers of proven integrity who are seasoned in asymmetric warfare. to add impetus to our operations. I want to assure Nigerians going forward that we're going to add more to what we're doing, add more impetus to our operations, and ensure that we checkmate this act of terrorism within Nigeria. And you know very well that terrorism is a global issue, it's a global problem. There are several countries that are challenged in that respect. And it calls for collective effort. So if we have countries out there who are ready to support Nigeria, we are ready to have them on board to help us checkmate the act of terrorism within the space of Nigeria. So we welcome everybody to support us.
Well, not too far away from there, the Senate announced plans to debate the recent comments attributed to U.S. President Donald Trump alleging of a Christian genocide in Nigeria. Speaking during plenary, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, said he would await the federal government's official response before making any comment on the issue. Senator Akpabio clarified that he was not in a position to respond to President Trump, calling for caution in public discourse, urging Nigerians and the media to avoid spreading misinformation or inflammatory narratives that could jeopardize national unity.
We must warn those on social media who continue to misquote and misrepresent people and say, oh, Senate President answers President Trump. Who am I to answer President Trump? That is the reason why I've directed my lawyers to petition that blogger. It is the presidency that will answer President Trump. And all Nigerians are doing their best in that direction. We have not discussed the comment of President Trump in chambers yet. I know we will.
I'm a Nigerian. Nigeria is a sovereign nation. I'm a parliamentarian. I'm a deputy the president. I can speak on behalf of Nigeria. I'm not scared of Trump.
But do not allow others to speak for you.
Don't be scared of Trump.
Quite an interesting exchange. Let's move away from that to what the EU has said in support of Nigerian federal government in the fight against insecurity and insurgency. This was a call of the body's ambassadors to Nigeria, Gaita Mignon, in an interview with our foreign affairs correspondent Amarachi Ubani, giving the EU's position on the state of security in Nigeria. Mr. Mignon said the situation in Nigeria is influenced by several factors affecting all groups of people and religion.
If you look at who are the victims of violence in Nigeria, well, all communities are, all religious communities, Christians, Muslims, others. And sometimes you can have some attacks, some discriminations based on religions, but in many other cases, they are based on other reasons. And so I think it's important to distinguish the different cases, not to generalize. But of course, attacks on the basis of religion also exist and are despicable. So our position is that all communities, all beliefs deserve respect and protection. And so this is what we are trying to support Nigeria to do. And when you look at the overwhelming majority of Nigerians, what they long for is peaceful coexistence between ethnic groups, between religious groups, religious communities. And the federal government is itself a multi-confessional, multi-ethnic body governed by the Constitution of Nigeria, which is not recognizing any religion as superior to others, and giving guarantees to the freedom of belief and religion.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to the conversation for the day. And this, we're talking about what is playing out in the PDP. So there was a convention that was planned, ratified by the National Executive Committee of the party. Just not too long ago, they were preparing for that convention. And then some members of the party went to court to stop that convention. The court granted that request, but another court of coordinate jurisdiction has now invalidated the decision of the other court. So two courts of coordinate jurisdiction with different outcome. That's a conversation. Join us again. All right, let's bring in my guest on the program. Babatunde Faro is a member of the People's Democratic Party. He joins us virtually from Abuja City. He's a member of the PDP Youth Forum from the Southwest region. Mr. Faro, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Geoffrey. Good afternoon, listeners.
Good afternoon to you. So let's begin. When it comes to your party, so let's begin with the immediate. As far as, you know, because of the challenges of your party, what is going on right now in our country, we can't really get a clear line of communication as to the perspective of the People's Democratic Party. Because with the greatest sense of respect, we've said this over and over, not as a form of insult or derogatory in any form, but as a form of challenge, that your current NWC is perhaps one of the most confused, one of the most disorganized we have ever seen in recent time. And it doesn't look like it's getting better. Now, let's talk about what has played out right now. From counter suspensions to two courts of coordinate jurisdiction giving different judgments as far as this is concerned. Give us your first interpretation of where this chaos may lead the PDP to.
Okay, thank you very much. The crisis in the party, I'm using that word in inverted comma, didn't start today. It's unfortunate that we are here today, even though I believe that the press and the language collapse that a lot of press people have been using seems exaggerated. Yeah, do we have internal issues? Yes, we do. There are battles for there are content for the soul of the party. Yes, it is. Now, coming to where we are now, you know, there have been issues from time on who the national chairman should be, who should be the national secretary. I thought we've gone past that, but what we are seeing, the going to court by the state chairman of Abia PDP and Imo, as well as Jotona, and getting the judgment from our Lord Justice James Omotosho last week, stopping the convention, and also the counter court ruling that was received yesterday from the court of Justice Akin Tola of the Oyo State High Court, saying that the convention will go ahead, brings quite a bit of confusion. But for me, I think we need to wait for the NWC to make a firm declaration on this, because there is two contending judgment now, the Federal High Court judgment in Abuja and the Oyo State High Court judgment in Ibadan. So we'll look at which one. One said INEC should not monitor, one now said INEC must monitor. So we need to know which one subsides and which one are they going to take effect to. But I believe that this gives room for all of us to talk to each other, because the battle for the soul of PDP is not just about PDP now. It's about the battle for the soul of opposition politics in Nigeria. And if we are not careful, this can put a pay to the ambition of thousands of people. We're supposed to have about 990 people aspiring under PDP for House of Assembly seats. We're supposed to have about 27 aspiring for governorship. We're supposed to have for presidency. We're supposed to have 360 House of Rep. We're supposed to have 109 senators. If we are not careful, the party might not just have a candidate in this election, and this will spoil very bad omen for opposition politics. So I'm appealing to the leaders, to all contending factors, the camps of the governor, the camps of the FCT minister. Let's sit down, let's talk and resolve, because the tenure of this current WC ends next month. And if this convention does not happen, and for a new leadership to emerge, what happens to the party going forward? So I think I want to leave it there so that you can take it off from there. Thank you, Geoffrey.
You know, it was President Goodluck Jonathan who said that it is worse when somebody is pretending to sleep than when the person is sleeping. The case of PDP is a classic case of pretending to sleep. The camp that is loyal to the FCT minister are clearly working in favor of the president, and they are still trying to call the shots. The other camp say they are working for the interests of the PDP, and they are counter on all sides. Is it that the PDP is not... What is the pretense about exactly?
Okay, I'm a straight talker. For me, we know that, personally, I feel there's a big camp which is headed by the FCT minister, that seems influenced, their loyalty is influenced by outside consideration, not to the party. That's my own personal view. But again, you also need to look at how do we handle this. I joined PDP about 5 years ago, and remotely I could remember vividly the first 3 years that I joined the party, the biggest funder, the biggest logistic provider, the biggest organization provider for the party was Nyesom Wike, then as governor of Rivers State. Now, obviously, his interest lies somewhere else. He's FCT minister. His interest lies in helping the APC to retain power. But I feel that in all of this, we should look at the bigger interest. We're looking at the interest of our 1,500 people hanging in here. So we just have to, either we deal with the Wike option by talking, or we do it by illegally. And I'm somehow feeling very, 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 very sad because someone like me saw this coming over 2 years ago. I thought this fight we are fighting now should have been done 2 years ago, so that we had enough time to approach the court for interpretation and do a lot of things. But now we are getting very close to the convention. Do we want to go this way? The implication is dire.
All right, Mr. Faro, if as a journalist I could see the picture clearly, you are the ones who are politicians. I wonder why you don't choose, whether you choose not to see the picture. So, but let's get to the merits of what the courts have decided. Nyesom Wike and his people are arguing to the effect, some people say it's selfishly, that there is a process for a national convention. All other elections preceding the national convention, because if you see the composition of the national convention, it has a point. In the national convention, you're going to have zonal working committee. Now, there was a zonal congress held in Cross River that was contended. At some point, Damagun looked it was supported, it wasn't supported. Then they had a caretaker committee. Nyesom Wike supports Dan Obi. Damagun supports Ogidi, who is overseeing all of the defecting states in that sense. There's state women leader, youth leader, there's party chairman, there's national. So all of these things have to be, there has to be valid officers within these spaces. His argument is to the effect that there is no valid officer. Perhaps he's saying, since you didn't recognize my own valid officers, then I don't know what you're doing because we had a Congress. How does the PDP intend to work around these murky waters? Because he has a point, even though some people say he's selfish about that point.
Okay, you raise a valid point. Yes, there is some few states, and I think one zone that PDP seems to have a problem on, who is a legitimate zonal ESCO. I know for South Dan Hobby, based on the convention that was done, based on the purported Congress that was done in Calabar, which the party said they did not okay it, and the party now had to appoint Eda Emmanuel Ogidi as a caretaker. Yeah, we know that there are issues, and I also know that there is issues in maybe 1 or 2 states around Cross River, around Abia. But the convention encompassed 36 states, really. And and that's about 6 zones. If we have problem in 2 out of 36, I don't think that's enough to invalidate the entire process, in the sense that, and again, the electoral act, as it is also, as of today, specify how delegates to a convention or Congress should emerge. Necessarily, there are delegates that will emerge from the local government structure. And I know for sure that about 32 states have concluded their state congresses. The national delegates have emerged. But I know we have problem in like 2. Now the question is that, do we now use 2 to throw spanner in the works of 36? And that's the question I think I'm putting to the Lord. My Lord, I know this case is going to Court of Appeal, but the internal processes, the neck of the party at the 100 neck, and I think 101 neck, I said there's a convention. And the issues, we've seen this before, where the PDP party had problem in 1 or 2 states, or 1 or 2 zones, they exclude just one or two those states from participating in the elective convention so that it doesn't invalidate the process. The most important thing is that was quorum formed? Do we have substantive compliance? So, and if we have 32 states ready to go and we have a problem in like 4, I don't think that's enough to stop the process, because there's a bigger problem here. What happens if this thing lingers on and there is no convention by December? And the national, the tenor of the national committee.
Yes. What, Mr. Faro, what is, if that is the grand plan of those who are trying to distort, to make it linger until you don't have a candidate? Do you see that picture as a possibility? On the other hand, there's also the point of PDP, with the greatest sense of respect, causing problem for, but I have the cause and INEC, because former governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Faro, argued that why will a state high court sit over a case that is supposed to be handled by a federal high court? I have to look at the books to know whether it's correct with that. But he's saying it's a federal high court matter that has been decided upon. Why did the state high court adjudicate over the matter? So perhaps what I'm asking is the fact that, do you think that this can be resolved by INEC, the court, or it has to be some sitting down, brutal honesty to say, you, what do you want?
I don't think the court can resolve this problem. I think we need to sit down. The camp of the governors have to sit down with the camp of the FCT minister. We must give and take. We can't kill this party. No, we have a lot of people feel aggrieved. But I'm also talking to His Excellency Jason Wike at this point in time to have a change of heart. I want to use the adage that I'll draw a quote from the very popular book, Things Fall Apart, when Ogbuefi Ezeudu went to meet Okonkwo, and he said, even though the gods are destined that Ikemefuna is going to die, please, Okonkwo, don't be a part of this boy's death. For one thing, he calls you father. If there's anything, Nyesom Wike has nurtured this party over the past 6, 7, 8 years. I don't think it should be part of the death of this party at this time. And the governors, let's all stop, because the legal process is going to take a lot of time. If you go to the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal might not decide on this case in under 30 days. And the party that loses in Court of Appeal might go to the Supreme Court. Who knows how long this is going to take? The party doesn't have all this time. So let everybody sit down and let's talk about this.
Mr. Faro, there's another issue you've raised, which is, it may be outlier at this moment, but it's important you raised it because, for instance, if we admit, I'm not saying it's a fact, if we admit that the federal high court is supposed to adjudicate over this issue, and then the state high court now sat over it, acting like an appellate court, which is an aberration. It's another kettle of fish. But let's talk about some things we have now discovered in the internal democracy. It has collapsed within the PDP. One of the reasons why it collapsed, everybody referencing Nyesom Wike, a fantastic guy who is doing a great work with the ministry, but people disagree with his politics. How did the party get to the point where one person can hold it by the jugular because, he funded it to this point? How does the PDP want to walk out of this to make sure that... Because when the PDP started, it was not a one-man's party. I'm old enough to know how the PDP started and know how it played out till when they lost the election. It's a national party. Then now the PDP is a question of, is it run by Nyesom Wike? Is it run by Atiku Abubakar, who has now left the party? So my question perhaps is, what model will the PDP use to enshrine internal democracy to ensure this mistake? Because this is classic mistake. Whether it happens in the APC, PDP, no one person should be able to control a political party. It's an aberration.
Okay, I'm happy we're all learning from history here. And I think we need to look at ourselves in the eyes as PDP members and said we all dropped the ball here. For a long time, Nyesom Wike was the one carrying the party. I know when I joined, the then late state chairman of PDP in Ondo State, Fatai Adams, a good friend of mine, sometimes I will query him, why the official car, Nyesom Wike, this one is Nyesom Wike. When you want to do by-election, is Nyesom Wike. Everything is Nyesom Wike. But everybody practically left him to fund the party and run the shop. So the lessons we have learned here is that a political party funding should be a collective thing. We must not allow a superb man to emerge that we've left him to now, because it's who pays the piper. that detains the tune. So everybody has to be part of it. Members of National Assembly on the platform of the party has to pay their dues. The governors have to bring their beat. Elders of the party has to bring their beat. So when everybody brings their beat, no one person will appropriate the right. Because in Nyesom Wike, to be fair, I saw it firsthand. From when I was there, when I joined 2020 to about 2023, 80% of the bills, he was the one taking it.
Yeah, I don't think that's an argument at all. And I don't think that's why I'm asking the question, what model will now be used so that such scenario will not play out again? You cannot dismiss his contribution. He still has governors for you guys, he has members of the House of Assembly, despite his fighting and all of that. So he has a seat on the table you cannot ignore. But I must thank you, Mr. Faro, for coming on the program. Mr. Babatunde Faro is a member of the People's Democratic Party, one of the young members. He's a youth leader from the Southwest. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Geoffrey, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much.
All right, let's take the thoughts of the Minister of Information on what the government is doing as far as this issue of threat of invasion by Donald Trump's America is concerned. Oh dear, I thought we'd be able to take that, but he talked about the president remains calm despite the U.S. president's statement over the insecurity in parts of the country, especially the claim of genocide. It says the president continues to be committed to efforts at making Nigeria safer for all, irrespective of tribe, religion, or any kind of difference. So those are some excerpts from Idris Mohammed, the Minister of Information. Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.